All right, Aaron Murray played quarterback at Georgia. You see him now on ESPN and the SEC Network here on Sirius XM. He's with us on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline. What is up, Aaron? How are you?
Doing good, man. Just excited. A couple days out from a electric weekend of college football. I'll be going to Stillwater, so I've been dealing with that mess all week with the coaches. So talk with their staff this afternoon. So it's been a whirlwind of a week, but looking forward to a great weekend.
Yeah, Houston, Oregon State. That is a Friday night game. No, wait a minute. No, that's not Stillwater. No. Oklahoma State, Ryan.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. I called Oregon State on our schedule here. Oklahoma State. It's nothing like getting the coach, the game, and the coach has been fired on.
Baylor, 2:30. ESPN 2.
Plenty of points in that one, I would imagine. Plenty of points in that one, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk Alabama and Georgia. We were discussing this yesterday. You approached the game from the quarterback point of view. Obviously, you played the position. When you look at what Ty Simpson has done, and then Gunnar Stockton, what he did in one game, against Tennessee, do you give a quarterback edge at all to either one of these teams?
No, I think for both teams, they should feel really good about the way both their quarterbacks are playing. And, I think Ty has probably had, they're different. I mean, Ty is more the thrower of the two. He's a pure passer, drop back, throw the ball, can kind of hit all the three levels. Where I think Gunnar has the ability to push the ball vertically down the field. I have seen him struggle at times to kind of get through his progressions, especially versus zone coverage. He's been a little bit fast with his feet. And I think at times it's part to do with the offensive line and through the first two games, at least, their inability to really protect Gunnar consistently. So I think he kind of was rushing through his progressions. But, when it comes to arm strength, ability to push the ball vertically down the field, obviously both of them are great athletes. I think they're playing at a high level right now. And I think they got playmakers around them. I think that's the biggest thing for those guys is, hey, I have playmakers that I can throw the ball, the RPO game, I can throw over the middle of the field, I can take some shots, and I don't have to be perfect. Those guys are going to get yards after the catch, which makes my life a little bit easier from a quarterback perspective. So I don't know if I would switch them. I don't know if I would take one or the other. They are a little bit different in their skill sets. And both of them are going to have to come out there and play big-time games against, I know we all think like, struggling defenses. And, Alabama's defense has not been as good as we thought. And same thing with Georgia and probably their secondary. But these are still a lot of 4- and 5-star guys on that side of the football. You have to play on a high level, especially coming off a bye week.
Just from the mindset, when Georgia goes in Knoxville and early on they let him throw the deep ball. They trusted him to throw the deep ball, and then he made that great throw that saved the game and just dropped it in the bucket. What does that do for a young quarterback and for a team and an offensive coordinator's belief in a quarterback?
I think it goes a long way. And I said it during the game last week when, Bubba got a little conservative, but, you kind of have to remind yourself that this is this kid's first time starting on the road in this kind of environment. He still hasn't played a lot of football, that you don't want to put a lot on his plate. But I do think every single week, and this is me obviously being with Bobo for 4 years, I remember, my first game against South Carolina and very limited was put on my plate, but then I had a good game. We lost, but I had a good game. And I felt like from there on, I got more and more responsibility, more ability to check plays at the line of scrimmage, obviously more opportunities to throw the football. So I do believe he's earned the respect of Mike Bobo and the trust of him. His teammates obviously love him. You saw that from a year ago when he became the starting quarterback in the game versus Texas, and then obviously in the playoff game against Notre Dame. So guys in that locker room believe in him and what he can do from a leadership standpoint. But it definitely helps when you put it on tape. You put it on tape on the road, and you put it on tape in the fourth quarter the way he did. So I still, like I said, like from a quarterback perspective, especially young quarterbacks that haven't played a lot of football, throwing to the outside is easy because you can see it. Throwing a go ball or an inside fade to London is easy. I'm not saying like those were like, I'm not taking away the credit of the throw. Like those were incredible throws in crunch time. But where I want to see Gunnar elevate his game and where I want to see Bobo put more on his plate is being able to throw the ball over the middle of the field. And that takes a long time for a lot of quarterbacks to feel confident doing it. There's a lot of moving bodies. There's linebackers. There's safeties coming down. There's offensive linemen in your face, defensive linemen in your face. So it's a little bit harder to trust throwing in that area, but there's a lot of open space. And that's where you can get a lot of bang for your buck, as well. So, hopefully he continues to mature in his game and start to really open up the entire football field.
Aaron, there's not a fan base that has a higher approval rating than Georgia for Kirby Smart. As well they should. But it is strange that Kirby Smart is 107-13 against anyone not named Bama, and he's 1-6 versus Alabama. I know Georgia absolutely hates Alabama because of these numbers. They've lost 9 of their last 10. Dunaway did bring up a couple of days ago, and it was an interesting point that Kirby's never hosted Alabama in Athens. A lot of those games in Atlanta for the SEC championship, and we have seen multiple national championship matchups. But, I mean, how do you figure this thing out? And like, have you heard, like, a deeper dive? I mean, I don't know if there's, if this really is in Kirby's head.
Well, let's also remember that only one of those games wasn't against Nick Saban, the greatest coach of all time. So, like, let's not forget that you're going against Alabama and what Saban had built for more than a decade. When Kirby started facing them as the head coach of Georgia, and he obviously had a head start, and he's Nick Saban. So it's kind of like the whole James Franklin thing. At Penn State, they beat who they're supposed to beat, and then they face Ohio State, who has better talent. And I would say better coach, and same with Michigan, and they lose those games. And I think Kirby Smart obviously was 1A, 1B with Nick Saban over the past couple of years when Nick Saban was on his way out at Alabama. But still, Nick had built that program for 15 years, a little bit different. So I think Kirby, obviously the big one last year against Kalen DeBoer there in Tuscaloosa. This is his opportunity. You have everything stacked in your advantage. It's two very equal programs in the same kind of spot when it comes to talent. You're at home. It's a night game. It's gonna be raucous. You don't lose in Athens. But I will say this from a coaching perspective and from a player perspective, because I keep hearing, all these players haven't faced. Some of these players have never faced Alabama, or they've only faced them once. Like they weren't a part of the teams that are 1-6 against Alabama, and like I get that. But at the end of the day, you're still hearing it all week. So as a player, when it gets into the third and fourth quarter, and say it's a close game where Alabama's up or Alabama gets some momentum, that is going to creep into your mind like, oh my gosh, here it's going to happen again. And when you have any sort of doubt in a big time game against a really good team, that's when that team pounces. So I think Georgia's got to find a way to kind of get the momentum early, keep the momentum, and really just not let Alabama breathe. And that's what Alabama was for so long. I remember even when we played them back in 12, like you never got comfortable. And then when Alabama started to get momentum, everyone on the sidelines started saying like, oh God. Like we were up 10 points. We just blocked a field goal. Alec Ogletree returns it for a touchdown. We're all thinking like, oh my goodness, we're going to the national championship. Alabama scores 4 plays later, and everyone's butt on the sideline got super tight. Like, here we go again. So it's going to be interesting, but I think a lot of advantages should be in Georgia's favor as we head into this matchup Saturday night.
I was covering that game, and when y'all blocked the field goal, and I said, "Gosh, that's going to do it right there."
I too thought it was over.
You don't get a blocked field goal for a touchdown and lose a game. Yeah.
So for you, what was the more painful in-state loss? Was it the 2012 SEC championship game, or was it 2013 the prayer at Jordan-Hare against Auburn?
Ouch.
Ouch. I mean, it has to be 12 because you win that football game, we're probably going to win the national championship. I mean, both obviously very painful. It stinks. I feel like I had a lot of really, really good wins in my career. But obviously the focus always when people talk to me is like, oh, the game versus Alabama, or the game versus Auburn. And I'm like, oh, you remember that game versus LSU?
Yeah, I won a lot of games.
Won and back and forth with Ned and Odell and all those guys. So I kind of have to weave in I did win a couple decent games.
You got a lot of bones on your helmet back there.
Those were awesome ones. It was great to be a part of them. Just wish we would have been on the other side. But definitely that Alabama one because sitting at home with the boys, watching them just destroy Notre Dame, and just know that hey man, we were built just like them. Great defense, a bunch of superstars on defense, great running game, very mature veteran quarterbacks with AJ and myself, some really good playmakers on the outside. I mean, it's why that's what made that game so good is each team was so identical, and it was going to come down to just a couple plays was going to determine who the winner was going to be. And obviously Alabama came out on top.
You were literally the Aflac trivia answer for the Georgia-Tennessee game. I mean, your name was in the Aflac trivia question. I mean, you don't get there by losing a bunch of games.
No. I know that was fun. At least, I've had a lot of success in the East. 3-1 versus Florida, 4-0 versus Tennessee. Did not have a lot of success for South Carolina. Excited to see that is going to be one of Georgia's 3 consistent rivalry games for the next few years. But yeah, listen, it was a fun ride, and going back just to this game, a lot of people talk about, is Georgia Alabama now a rivalry? Where is this for you? I get asked that a lot whenever these two teams play nowadays, and I'm still kind of on the fence for it. Like I wouldn't necessarily consider it a rivalry. I just don't know, especially going forward, how many times these two are going to play with the new SEC and the new teams and the expanded all that good stuff. But I think it's a great game. I think they're two incredible programs. But I consider Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Georgia Tech, maybe Georgia, Tennessee as well as kind of the big rivals. And I just consider this an awesome game against two amazing programs.
Georgia, one of only two SEC teams without a 50-plus yard play this year. I watched a lot of USC football. Zachariah Branch is an explosive guy. He didn't get enough touches for Lincoln Riley. He's only had 13 offensive touches so far for Georgia. Is there a plan to get him more involved? Because when you get that guy in space, he can do some incredible things.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help when some of those catches, I know only 13 catches, turn into like 50-yard touchdowns. I mean, he had a couple of them this year where you throw a screen out to the outside and he takes it. So you love those. If you're able to give me half your touches or explosive plays, I'll take that every day. But I agree, can you find a way to keep feeding in the football? But I think the dilemma this year for Georgia is the fact that they've done a good job. I mean, Kirby went out there and found a way to hit the portal and bring in some top talent over the past 2 years. I think he's obviously playing at a very high level. I think Colby Young, who obviously was on the roster last year but didn't really play because of some off the field issues, I've been really impressed by him, his physicality, using his size. And then I've been really impressed with London Humphreys. I think he's a guy obviously that you got from Vanderbilt a year ago, first year in the system last year, now more comfortable, really seeing him go out there and make some plays more consistently. You still got really, two very talented tight ends and Lawson and Oscar. And then you got other guys too that, I would love to see them get the ball more. A guy like Dylan Bell, who's kind of a Swiss Army knife. How do you get him touches? And then you have a really good stable of running backs as well with Frazier. I've been really happy with the way Phillips is running. And then obviously Gunnar is going to play a big role in the run game. So yeah, going back to your question, I would love to see, can you get Zachariah Branch the ball more in space? Hell, put him at running back at times too. But there's just a lot of really good, talented receivers and running backs for Georgia right now that the love is going to get spread out, which I think over the long haul is going to make this offense even more dangerous, not being able to pinpoint one guy that you can take out.
Aaron Murray is with us. You can see him coming up. Oregon State Houston is going to be a tremendous game Friday night, but you won't see him there. You'll see him Baylor and Oklahoma State. That's the game you're going to see him on 2:30 ESPN too. I want to ask you a quarterbacking question. Jackson Arnold, there were 10 sacks last week against Oklahoma. Not great. I know as a quarterback that made you cringe right there. Hugh Freeze said by their count he probably pins 5 on the offensive line, 5 on Jackson Arnold holding the ball too long. At this point in a guy's career that's got that many starts, practically what can a coach do to speed that clock up for a quarterback so he does not hold the ball too long? Is that fixable? I guess is my main question.
Yeah, I think the way you feel on Sunday, Monday is going to make you want to get the ball out after getting hit 10 times. I would say probably somewhere there. I would lean. And I hate blaming the big boys up front because it's a hell of a job to go in there against that defensive line and that defense. And they brought some stuff. I tell you what Venables was doing defensively and what he's done all year. Because I turn on a lot of tape and see some pretty vanilla defenses where I'm like, man, this feels like what I'm going against back in 2012 compared to what you've seen a lot of defenses do. Venables is super cutting edge with the pressures, with the fronts. Doing a lot of, getting into bare fronts to create a lot of one-on-one opportunities for his defensive line. So it was a tough task going against that defensive line and that environment there in Norman. But, I would still lean a little bit more to the offense line has to be better. I think part of that was just my expectations. I thought this offensive line, I still do believe that this offensive line can be one of the best in the SEC. We've seen them do that this year already, play at a high level. So I was just a little bit disappointed with their play against Oklahoma. So a little bit more needs to be done with that front. But from a Jackson Arnold standpoint, I think that you want to develop as a passer. I know he wants to develop as a passer. But right now your legs are a big part of your game. And those are things that are going to take you and this team a long way. So I think that there needs to be a little bit of a faster clock in your head where, hey, you know what? Maybe if I don't like 1, 2, and 3, maybe I don't even get to 4 and I just take off and run. And I hate kind of saying that as someone that prided myself on being able to find the check down, but I was not as athletic as Jackson was. I can't run a 4.5 like he does. He needs to lean on the fact that he's a great athlete and understand too, the more you run, the more you're not even going to have to get to 3 and 4 because you're going to get one-on-one opportunities with your receivers down the field, and you just got to throw it up to Cam Coleman. So, like I said, offense line has to be better, but I think Jackson just got to lean into his running ability a little bit more as well too going forward.
Back to that 2012 SEC championship game, the guy on the other sideline, A.J. McCarron, I heard about this a couple of weeks ago. It's now been confirmed by AL.com. He's considering a run for maybe lieutenant governor or U.S. Senate. How close are you to running for political office?
No chance. Hey, good luck to AJ, man. I've heard rumblings that what's his name, Pearl may be running against him, I guess, if he's going to run for some kind of office now that he's not coaching at Auburn. But yeah, I guess it's a thing nowadays. If you're a coach or player in the state, you have a chance to go run for some office. But no, listen, I love calling college football, and don't want to deal with the mess of politics.
Yeah, very smart, very smart.
That's the best avoiding of a pass rush you've ever done, right there, my man.
Yes.
Yeah, don't get sacked in politics.
2:30.
Listen, I've seen in this state alone with Herschel, just like people that love Herschel that now hate Herschel. Just like I don't want to go that route.
Good call.
2:30 ESPN2 is where you will see Aaron for that Baylor Oklahoma State game. Should be a lot of fireworks offensively there. Aaron, thank you very much for the time. Great insight, and we really do appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games.
All right, buddy. You too. Aaron Murray at Aaron Murray 11 is where you can catch him on social media. He was with us on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline.